Students, in the previous video lesson, we completed chapter number 6, Lines and Angles. In the forthcoming videos, I would be giving you a couple of revision questions from the same chapter. In this video lesson, let us conduct a MathLab activity from Lines and Angles, and the topic is Angle Sum Property of a Triangle. Let us see how to conduct this activity. MathLab activity that we have done so far, a plus b the whole square, which is an identity. In the earlier video lessons, we completed a theorem from circle through MathLab activity. So this is a reminder, those who have not done this MathLab activity, please do the same in your MathLab book. In this video lesson, let us now begin with another MathLab activity based on angle sum property of a triangle. So how to conduct the activity? Step 1. I want you to take colored sheet of paper or a cardboard or any sheet of paper with texture. You could even take glitter paper. So these are few examples. You could take either a plain sheet of paper or a colored one, and these are glitter papers. Choose whichever paper you want for this activity. Now, what is the second step? On those sheets of paper, I want you to draw two identical triangles. So the choice is yours. You could draw an acute angle triangle or an obtuse angle triangle or a right angle triangle. So you draw one triangle on one sheet of paper, and on the other sheet of paper, you draw another triangle which is identical to this. Okay. Now, after having drawn this triangle, I want you to cut out this triangle and stick this triangle in your MathLab book. So this is the first step. You are going to draw a triangle in one of the sheet, cut the triangle and place that triangle in your MathLab book. Now, what is the third step? On the second sheet of paper, you draw another triangle which is identical to the first one. Okay. Now, from each of this vertex, I want you to draw an arc. So how do you do that? You place the pointer on this vertex, take any distance on the compass and draw one arc. Without changing the measure, keeping the same girth, you place the pointer now here and draw another arc. Again, place it on this vertex and without changing the measure, draw another arc. So this is how the arcs will look. You will have 3 arcs drawn from each of these vertices. Now, after having drawn the arcs, you could use crayons and color this region so that it looks attractive. I've colored this in blue, green and red. So this entire region, color it and let us name it. So name it as A, B and C. So they represent the angles of this triangle. So this is an important step. Draw 3 arcs without changing the distance and name them as A, B and C. Now, step 4. After having drawn these arcs and after naming it as A, B and C, what do you do next? You take a scissor and you cut this portion. Cut this region along the arc. So when you cut it, this is how the diagram is going to look. This portion is cut out. Similarly, you will cut the remaining. I have cut this angle C and so is the case with B. And these 3 cutouts that you have got, keep it aside. Do not stick this now in your MathLab book. What you will do is this portion which is left out, the balance part, you are going to stick in your MathLab book. Okay. So I hope this is clear. A, B and C, you're going to cut that region along this dotted line, keep it aside, and this portion, the balance region which is left in yellow, you're going to stick this in your MathLab book. Now step 5. Now the fifth step is the cutouts that you have got, that is 3 cutouts, A, B and C. You are going to place them on this line. So in your MathLab book, you're going to draw a line, take those 3 cutouts and place them adjacent to each other. So this is how you're going to place A facing downwards. The tip will be there on the line. Take B. B you're placing where the pointed region is here facing downwards, and C, the pointed region placing downwards. Now what do you notice? A, B and C are the 3 angles of the triangle. They form a semicircle. So the measure of these 3 angles together will be 180 degree, because you know that a semicircle forms 180 degree. That means what have we proved here? Angle A plus angle B plus angle C equal to 180 degree. Now this is how your activity book will look like. This is the first figure. Remember, I told you to draw 2 triangles. One of the triangle you will cut out. So this is the first triangle that you're going to cut and place in your MathLab book. The second triangle that you have drawn, that you keep it aside, and on that you're going to draw 3 arcs. You're going to cut those arcs and keep that region aside. Whatever is the balance, that you're going to stick here in your MathLab book. So this is figure number 2. And this is figure number 3. The cutout regions, you are going to place them adjacent to each other, and you will notice that they form a semicircle, and in your MathLab book you can write down here 180 degree. So this is how, students, you will conduct the MathLab activity, which proves that the sum of the measures of the 3 angles of any triangle will be equal to 180 degree. You could either take an acute angle triangle or an obtuse angle triangle or a right angle triangle. Whichever triangle you take, accordingly these angles will change, but their sum will always be 180 degree. Now in the next slide, you can have a look at the aim, materials required, prerequisite knowledge, procedure, observation and conclusion. I want you to write down that in your MathLab book. Have a look. So this is the aim. To verify that the sum of the angles of a triangle is 180 degree. Then you have the prerequisite knowledge. You need to know basic knowledge of triangles and types, the different type of triangles based on angles and triangles based on sides. These are the materials required. You could take cardboard sheet or you could take glitter papers. Make a note of all these materials that you require to conduct the activity. And this is the procedure. I have just noted it down. It's step by step. This is step 1. You take a cardboard sheet of a convenient size or a glitter paper, and then you draw a triangle on one of the paper. Cut that triangle and you're sticking that triangle in the book. Then you take one more sheet of paper. When I here talk about a sheet of paper, I'm talking about a small sheet of paper, right? In that sheet of paper, draw the same triangle and mark its 3 angles with the help of a compass. Then you cut out those angles, that is angle A, angle B and angle C. And after you cut it, the balance portion, you are going to stick that in the MathLab book. Then on the MathLab book, you're going to draw a line, and these cutouts of those angles, you're going to place it in such a way that they are adjacent to each other. And when you cut them out, it will look like a semicircle. Students, I want you to write down this in your MathLab book. Okay. Now let us look at the observation and the conclusion. So observation. The three cutouts of the three angles, that is A, B and C, which are placed adjacent to each other, what happens to those three angles? Okay, now they show that their sum will be equal to 180 because it forms a semicircle. So conclusion, the sum of the measures of angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So students, this was a MathLab activity which proves the sum of the measures of angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. I've already given you a MathLab activity in the earlier video lesson pertaining to circles, and this MathLab activity is pertaining to lines and angles. So please complete this in your MathLab book. In the next video lesson, we would be revising chapter number 6, Lines and Angles. Until then, goodbye and take care.